I challenge you as a believer, let that power get out.
Blind people received their sight. People have been carried in. We're healed. Nobody touched them. Nobody laid a hand on them. We just praised the Lord and spoke the word of faith, and God began to heal the people.
Here's a fish.
Yeah, let's go!
Oh my gosh, he's a pig.
He landed inside.
He kept me from. God, look how massive this is.
The Casting Faith Podcast.
Fish on.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And we can't go fishing today because there's a snowstorm and the Tesla can't make it. And that's my song for this morning. Sad.
Well,
My.
here we are.
Here we are.
That was a beautiful song.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. All right, Sean, I got a story for you today.
Okay. Make
All
me
right.
happy because I'm sad.
I'm sad. We were so excited to go, and it's been a few weeks since I've caught a steelhead, and you caught 3 and let them go.
Yes, sir.
Which is sad. We'll talk about that more later, but yeah, we're a little disappointed today, but
Cheer me up.
we have some holiday cheer. All right, so let me paint this picture for you. Austin, Texas.
Why is
Christmas
it always
lights.
Texas?
That's where I'm from, man.
Oh,
It's either Texas or Florida. Those are where all the good stories come from. But it's Austin, Texas. Think Christmas lights and too much creativity. So a guy decides he's going to go all in and recreate the famous National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation scene. You know, the one where Clark Griswold's dangling off the roof. So this guy builds a life-size mannequin, and it's full on flannel, work boots, the whole deal. And he hangs this from his roof gutter like it's about to fall. And so the mannequin's feet are dangling. It's got like a motorized function. So the
cool.
feet are just like going back and forth. It's so realistic though that somebody drives by and actually called 911 thinking that the dude fell off his roof or is about to fall off his roof. So imagine now there's firefighters rolling up to the scene to find out, and the neighbor's or the person driving by is concerned, and he's like,
that had
"That's-
to look so real.
That's
for
not a
somebody to
real
call.
person. That's Clark Griswold."
Do you have a picture of it?
It's yeah, I can post it. And so, I mean, come on, the guy almost broke Christmas with that decoration, and probably a few HOA rules while he was at it. So here's my question: if you're gonna go all out like that on a display, shouldn't you at least put a sign in your yard saying, "Hey, this is a movie reference"?
No, I think
real
that
emergency.
I think that's the fun of it is tricking people.
So just let the chaos happen.
Yeah, that would be so funny.
This dude's got to be a legend in his neighborhood now.
He is. He is.
Oh man,
I got one for you.
let's hear it.
It's next level holiday insanity. So up in Washington State, you know, where all the real steelhead are, because we're not real steelhead in Ohio, is what they
What do
say.
you mean? What do you mean they're not real?
All the people in Washington State, like the whole PNW, the Pacific Northwest, they have real ocean run salt living steelhead. And so they always say that the Steelhead Alley and that stretches from Cleveland to Buffalo are not real steelhead because they're freshwater.
But
Anyway,
that's crazy though. Not real.
that's
like-
it's just
it
like
sounds like the-
it's like a battle like of manlyhood.
Oh come on.
That's all it is.
It's like the hunting. It's like the hunting in dark thing.
no, it's
What
more.
are you saying?
It's
Not
more
real.
like the whole debate of if it's brown, it's down, or I'm not shooting
if it's
small.
brown, flesh it down.
No, deer.
Oh man, no, but
Together.
Wait.
so like a deer, like in West Virginia, everybody is always like, oh, if it's brown, it's down, no matter the size
If
of
it's
the
yellow, let it mellow.
And then up here in Ohio, you got these guys that are all like deer management, and you don't shoot deer under 5 years old, and
come
like
on.
yeah. So that's like how it is with the
Steelhead.
the PNW, like Pacific Northwest guys that steelhead, and they're very adamant that
Are these the
steelhead
catch
in
release?
Ohio are not real. Yes.
So are they okay with us
Yeah, they
killing
don't-
the ones that aren't real?
Yeah, because they're stocked, and that's how they design the system up
I
here.
just
But in the PNW, they don't have the numbers that we have. That's why it's world-class fishing here.
world class numbers on this Spotify episode.
Yeah, they're all 13 of you listening right now. If you're part of that 13,
We love you.
just leave a comment.
Yes.
Let us know that you're there.
Yes.
Anyway, so up in Washington State, there's this guy who clearly thought, you know what my house needs is a little more pizzazz.
Pizzazz.
But not just like a string of lights.
Sean just did fluffy fingers.
Yeah,
what is it called?
I did not.
Magic hands.
I did not do that. Not just like a string of lights or a glowing reindeer. This guy basically turned his yard into the Christmas version of Times Square.
Man,
Lights, check. Music, check. A fully operational snow machine, you bet.
snow machine. Did he
You know what
hire-
this reminds me of? Is the house in Talmadge that has air balloons or whatever. What are those?
Like the
Every square inch of that person's yard is
Yeah.
covered in
dude? Can you
balloons
imagine their
for every holiday?
yeah, for every holiday. Yeah, like the weird.
Where do they
ones
store that stuff?
the storage unit. There's like the weird one. They decorate full out for Halloween. My kids aren't going to go near that house. But man, imagine what their electric bill is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, it probably isn't.
Maybe.
Because I pull a lot of electric with my car, and it's not that bad. It might not be as bad as you think. Anyway, here's where it gets legendary. He sets his lights to blink along to Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You," because obviously it's the unofficial anthem of the season. And everything is going great until a snow machine, which is perched up on the roof like some DIY blizzard machine,
Dude, where do you get a snow machine?
decides to have its mind of its own. I don't know. The ski slopes. Actually, I don't think it's very hard to make snow as long as it's the right temperature.
Water and cold. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of gently sprinkling snow like you'd see in a Hallmark movie, it goes full on Category 5 blizzard mode and starts blasting snow with hurricane level force.
My.
Now picture this. Mariah Carey is mid belting out that high note, and bam, this snow cannon is literally launching snowballs straight through the neighbor's window. This can't be real.
Merry Christmas.
These poor folks are sitting there sipping their hot cocoa, thinking they're safe, watching a Hallmark movie or something.
Oh.
And suddenly they're in the middle of a snow globe gone rogue. Christmas spirit ruined. Their cat probably still hiding under the couch. The best part,
How do you apologize?
the best part, this guy comes out to apologize, and instead of turning off the machine, he accidentally cranks the snow volume up higher. Definitely not real. So now the entire block looks like the North Pole during the blizzard. And Mariah Carey's song just keeps looping, like some kind of chaotic sound. It sounds like a nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
So double check your snow machine settings.
Let me know where you get it.
Especially when you live next to neighbors who probably already hate you for synchronizing the lights to Mariah Carey.
Jeez. Blackout curtain windows. Can
So-
you imagine being in your dining room, just drinking coffee or sipping some hot cocoa, and just pelted with snowballs? That's crazy.
That can't be real.
I don't
There's
think
no.
so. There's no way.
So here's my takeaway, though. Christmas isn't Christmas without at least one overachiever on the block or street who thinks that they're Walt Disney. But maybe, just maybe, leave the snow machines to the professionals. All right?
Yeah, man. Have you ever been to up in Wadsworth? You know, there's like whole communities who go all out on their Christmas lights. Like,
Yeah.
you can just drive through and they do sync
not
up.
Wadsworth, but I've seen what you're talking about.
Yeah, we do that sometimes. Tradition. We go around.
And if
watch
you
all the
guys need
Christmas
your
lights.
lights put up, two clever fellas will do it.
Yeah, we'll do a plug for you, Marcus.
Yeah.
I know Marcus is listening.
Charlie will probably come out and have
Yeah.
to help because he promoted it.
Yeah, we're gonna stay away from the snow, the snow machines.
Marcus, do you do snow machines and Mariah Carey?
Yeah, I'm sure he could figure it out.
He
He's
probably
pretty
could.
pretty clever.
You could figure out anything.
Pretty clever.
There's two of them. Two clever fellas.
2 or 3 now. 2 or 4, 4, 5,
2, 4, 6.
8 clever fellas.
Yeah.
No, he does a great job. So if you are out there and you need Christmas lights, give him a call. And I don't have his phone number.
Well, we probably shouldn't put it on here.
Yeah. Oh, I'm putting it on here.
DM us. DM us on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
Or just go search Two Clever
2
Fellas.
Clever Fellas, Ohio.
Yeah.
You'll find it.
There you go. There
All
you go,
right.
Marcus. We should call him.
Oh, man. So that story is a Christmas fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, man, that's wild.
I refuse to believe that's real.
I really hope it's true. We'll give you an update next episode if that's true or not. But it's fun to talk about anyways.
So it's not hard to make snow.
No.
So
Water and ice.
on the ski slopes, you see like if it's under, I think it's like 30 degrees.
32 degrees. Yeah.
I think under 30, they'll start blowing snow on
So I
the
wonder if
slopes.
it's just like the same as a fog machine.
Yeah, they just turn on water and a fan, and they must be like the perfect nozzle. Like to make it snow.
Or force with the fan so
Yeah.
it doesn't freeze up.
Yeah. So it's not like just a water hose blowing, right? So it's got to be a misted.
Dude, a
certain
couple, so
consistency
way
or
back
whatever.
when, you probably remember this too. I don't know if you're in Ohio, but I think it was 2014.
I was here.
You were in Ohio?
Yeah.
2014, there was a polar vortex that came through
Oh, yeah.
my fun apartment that the doorknob came off.
Yeah.
That one.
One covered in smoke.
Yeah.
Did Hillary get you in trouble for that?
No.
Telling that story?
No comment.
Hey, I would like to try it. So,
It was delicious.
Hillary, next time you come over,
My
please
wife
bring
is a
some.
wonderful cook, and she made delicious sourdough chocolate chip scones for breakfast yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
From Big Bertha? Was
Yes,
it?
yes,
I saw
it was
that.
so good. It was so good. I ate another one before I came over today, but they were better fresh. It
Yeah.
was like nice and melty. It was really good. But yeah, she made delicious scones the other day. But yeah, there was we were in these apartments, and it was about, I think it was 2015, 2014, something around that time, and a polar vortex came through, and it was like -30 wind chill, something insane.
It was worse.
It was so cold.
Yeah.
And like you couldn't go outside. Like I would walk out to the car. If you didn't have a coat on, you were done.
I got a great story about this polar vortex when you're done.
And like I would get out of my car. We would go visit friends. We'd go visit David and Brittany at their apartment. Mm-hmm. This was before kids, so we had much more time to have vibrant social lives. But we would go over a lot, just hang out, do dinner and things. And it was this trend to get a boiling pot of water and throw it up in the air. Mm-hmm. And we did that. You would throw it up in the air, and it would come down as like snow
it's
and ice
awesome.
and just clouds.
It's fun.
It was so cool, but also terrible because you get out of your car and your nose hairs would freeze together. It was so cold. Your eyes were watering. If you closed your eyes, your eyelids would freeze together. It was so cold.
Do you remember what they were saying on the radio? Don't be outside for more than like 15 minutes or something
Yeah.
like that. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah,
announcements?
yeah.
All right. So in that polar vortex, it was I think it was -30 with a wind chill down to like -80. If I
I don't remember it.
And I was on call as a maintenance mechanic at my plant that I work at, which is an all outdoor facility. There's no indoors to that facility. So I get called in at 2 a.m, the worst time for temperatures.
Yeah, it's freezing.
So, and on my way there, I'm listening to the radio, like, don't be outside for more than 15 minutes. And I get there.
I got an 8-hour shift ahead of me.
No, on call, you just go fix whatever's broken.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I get there like 2:15 or something like that in the morning, -80 or whatever, wind chill. And they tell me what's broken is something that is 60 feet in the air.
Oh,
60 feet in the air. Above
what do you even do?
Above the tree line. And the wind is howling.
No way.
So I get dressed, layers on layers, right? And I'm like 15 minutes. How am I going to... I get up there, I climb up the structure to where I needed to work to do this job. And I am not joking. It was 4 hours. I was up there for 4 hours in that -80 or whatever.
Did they give you like a bonus for being out?
No.
I quit.
No, that's part of your job is working outside, and you understand that you got to do to protect yourself. That's why they have hand warmers and stuff. But yeah, 2 layers of balaclavas over your face, toboggans and hoods and coats and Carhartts and layers of socks and gloves.
Did your nose hairs freeze?
No, I cut my nose. I actually, honestly, was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't feel cold. It's something like anybody listening works outside. I'm sure you understand this. Like you just adapt and you get used to it pretty quick.
I quit the post office because of the winter in Ohio.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, well, the real reason I quit was because they wanted me to work on Sundays.
Oh.
They signed a deal with Amazon.
Yeah.
And they were like, you're going to have to work Sundays. And I went, that's not going to happen. And they were like, okay. And I'm like, well, this is my 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
Got a job.
So if you only are going outside every now and then yeah, that's really cold. But if you're adapted, like people that live in Alaska, like
People that live in Northeast Ohio are pretty well
you
adjusted.
adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you adapt pretty quick.
And you get to do. The other thing that we did was we blew bubbles.
Yeah.
Like a bubble wand.
It turned to
And
ice.
it would like turn into an ice ball.
That's
It was really
cool.
cool. But we haven't had a like cold winter in a long
It's been
time.
pretty good. Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I hope we never have another polar vortex.
Well, it's November and it's down to in the 20s.
3 feet of
this week.
snow in our fishing spot.
Yeah,
That's sad.
a lot of snow. It's nothing here.
Yeah,
It
wasn't bad at all.
That's how the lake effect is. Lake effect, it could be 3 feet, just 45 minutes up the road, and nothing here. Crazy.
Man. Yeah, tell us your craziest winter fail or your Christmas fails or like the craziest, what you did in the polar vortex in the comments. That would be cool. Let us know. All right. Okay. Well, let's shift gears here for a minute and talk about, if we're not careful, we can sometimes get really caught up in traditions and the spirit of the holidays, and we'll forget the real reason why we celebrate Christmas in the first place. I know we've been talking and laughing about the snow and snow machines that may or may not be real, or snow stories that may or may not be real, or the fake Clark Griswold hanging from the gutter, which is hilarious and awesome. But let's zoom out a little bit. All these lights that we see during the holiday, they're really a reminder of something much bigger, right? The real reason we celebrate Christmas is not Santa and Coca-Cola and all the good fun
Polar
Christmas
bears.
traditions. Yeah, it's not all about. It's not about the ice fishing and all the other things. It's a reminder of so much bigger. There's a reason we do Christmas lights during these holidays, and the true light is Jesus. And so there's a scripture reference that I would like to talk about. John 1:9 says, "The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world." So think about this. John isn't just talking about a flickering flame or some LED light bulbs you pick up at the hardware store. He's talking about the light of the world stepping into darkness to bring hope and peace and salvation. Christmas is a celebration of the moment when heaven touched earth and God made himself known to us in a way that we could understand and have a relationship with him. And so there's like a contrast between light and darkness. The reason that we light up the Christmas trees in our houses and all these things isn't like there's a purpose behind that. We live in a world where it feels like darkness is all around us. Chaos is everywhere, uncertainty, division. There's all kinds of things that we could focus on the negative. But the light of Christ isn't just a flicker in the darkness. It's a kind of light that overcomes it completely. It's a kind of light that pierces through every situation and gives us clarity and hope, right? So there's like a point to this thing that we do. All of these things, there could be a deeper meaning other than just decorations. And so what does it mean to shine the light? That's what I want to talk about just for a little while. You know, Jesus doesn't just stop at saying, "Hey, I'm the light of the world." He turns around to his disciples in Matthew 5:14 and he says, "You are the light of the world." So let's talk about that for a second. God is not just here to say he's the light of the world, but he's challenging his followers to be a light to this world. And so, man, it's just one of those things where, like, if we're not careful, we'll go through our day and there's so many things. Have you ever noticed it's so easy to be negative?
Yeah, it is.
It's so
You have
easy.
to force your flesh to be positive.
Yeah, it's so easy.
It's tough.
Before I went to bed last night, you texted me and said, "Hey, we probably shouldn't go fishing." And I was like,
Sean's a loser. Why does he not want to go?
No. No, but it's disappointing because we had this plan.
Oh, yeah.
We
It is
wanted to
very
go,
disappointing.
and we're so sad that we couldn't go. And it was frustrating because of the 4 feet of snow that is going. It's so easy to think that way and focus on the negative.
Yeah.
But God didn't call us to be negative. He didn't call us to be frustrated. Somebody was going 25 miles per hour in a 55 zone.
Oh,
And I was stuck behind them
when was this?
today on my way here.
Oh, man.
And I was
Was
like,
it on this road or
no.
somewhere
It
else?
was out by me.
Oh,
dude,
gracious.
I was so angry. I got
That's
so
tough.
frustrated.
That's tough.
And it would be so easy for me to start flashing my lights and honk. I didn't do that, but like to honk my horn and zoom past them and be a jerk, right?
Hey, it's not being a jerk if it's a passing zone.
Right. But my point is that bothered me so much.
Yeah.
Why?
It's frustrating.
It's so easy though.
I'm the
Like,
same way, but
It's a
it's
very
a little
common-
easier for me to get around people.
yeah, your robot car will do it for you.
Yeah. Well, I can get past them like in a blink of an eye. That's kind of how it is.
As
though.
fast as that snowball went through the
Yeah.
the neighbor's window.
I'm around people pretty quick.
Man, I say all that to say, man, it's so easy to focus on the negative, right? Like we notice that quicker. We notice the negative first, and God is calling us to do the opposite. He's not calling us to react in negativity. The world is dark enough, and believers, we're called to be the light of the world. It's a
Yeah.
call to action. It's not just about recognizing that God is good and Jesus is the light, but it's about reflecting it.
It's pretty simple. So I just, I've been serving God for my entire life. I've been in church my entire life, but I've just recently learned how easy it is to just be a light. I think it was me, you, and Brother Christian. We were at Dollar General or something something like that over by Planet Fitness. And we're just like goofing off, grabbing some stuff for the youth night. And there's a truck driver that was in front of us, and we just started talking, and having a conversation, and just like that just made his day. Like he was just so like uplifted, and so wasn't the cashier, if I remember right. Just like the positivity, like, and it just stemmed from just having casual conversation with a stranger. Yeah. Like that's the easiest thing in the world.
Right. But it's
so hard to start doing that.
Yes.
And make that a
because
habit.
we're conditioned to just like kind of flow through about the day, and there's really, no structure to it. And it's easy to just go through your day and just hand your card to the cashier, not even make eye contact, and just go, pay for whatever and leave without really having much of a conversation. But that's like being the light strip, where there's always that one bulb that's not like working and it ruins the whole thing. Yeah. Like if we're not careful, we'll be that little bulb in this community of believers that just doesn't light.
And how hard is it to just look at the cashier and say, "Oh man, what time you get out of here today?"
Yeah.
How's your shift been going? And they'll start talking about, and they open up, and there's so many opportunities that can be missed if you don't just start that small talk.
I have a story about that. So I was in the middle of teaching a summer grow series to our youth. I got to share in that responsibility with Brother Christian. So we did this grow series a couple years back with the church in Talmadge, and I was in charge of doing the youth department's grow series. And we were on this particular lesson on soul winning, or being a witness would be a better way of saying that. Just being a witness, being that light. And I was talking and I was teaching our youth about this topic of being a witness. Just like you said, how hard is it to just open up and have a conversation with somebody? You won't believe how many people that just makes their day. And I'm in the middle of teaching this, and the Lord convicts me. As I'm teaching about being a witness, I had gone to Chipotle that day, because let's be honest, Chipotle is amazing. Don't shake your head. Oh
no, it's not amazing.
No, Chipotle is amazing. It's amazing. I could eat it literally every day, and I was on this bad. Oh, come on, you're kidding.
It's the cilantro. I have to get plain. I have to ask for plain white rice. It's just a big hassle when I go in there.
Don't take eating advice.
I'm just like a big annoyance to them when I walk.
No.
Can I get plain white rice?
They just roll their eyes.
Oh my gosh. Cilantro's green. I don't eat green stuff.
We're going to change all of that. There was a point in time where Sean didn't even like coffee, and now he's a frequent.
But I'll never like greens.
We'll see about that. Anyways, I'm at Chipotle. It's probably I was in a bad stretch where I was almost eating it every day. I was like eating super clean and super healthy, and that was like the easiest fast food option for that.
Also the second most expensive.
It is.
Next to Taco Bell.
But they had a good rewards program at that time.
Yeah.
And so I'm there, and I was there the day before, or that day before teaching this lesson. And I remember this cashier, and I'm in the middle of like preaching to the youth about soul winning. And the Lord tells me, and he speaks to me a couple of different ways, but I'm in the middle of teaching, and he said, "I put you in front of somebody today, and you didn't even interact with them at all. And you're teaching about soul winning."
Wow.
And I got so convicted, and I said it to the youth. I was like, I'm standing here teaching about soul winning, and I missed an opportunity today.
Yeah.
I started to cry, like teaching this lesson, because I knew the Lord had spoke to me. He convicted me, because it was one of those moments where I was just handing the card to the cashier, and she was so excited. She was like, she had to be in like a new hire or something. They had some kind of work promotion. She's like, "Do the survey on the back, and it'll, you'll get this, and it'll really help me out." And every time, I remember her, she would do this every time. "Hey, how are you? How's it going?" And she was really one of those bubbly people that kind of just are over the top. And I would just be like, yeah, here's the card, and scan my code. And I would go about, I just want my chicken al pastor burrito, please. Let me get out the door. I remember she was so open. Like, I'm teaching the youth. Like, God's going to put somebody in your life where it's so easy to just talk to, and they're very open, and you'll notice it. And I'm in the middle of teaching this, and God lays it on me hard, and he's like, "You missed this opportunity." And I told him, I was really candid and honest. I'm like crying, trying to teach them about soul winning. And I said, "And don't miss this opportunity." So the class went well. I left, and my kids were sick at that point. And so I was at church alone that night. And so I'm driving home, and it just so happens on my way home is this Chipotle. And I'm driving, and the Lord starts to speak to me again. He said, "Turn into that Chipotle, go into that Chipotle, and go tell that cashier that I love her." And I'm like, okay, this is just me being passionate because I just taught this topic and I recognize I missed the thing. So I'm like approaching this Chipotle. God is like pounding on my heart. Go inside this Chipotle. I'm like, well, God, she's not going to be here. Her shift probably ended a long time ago. And he's like, go into that Chipotle, tell her how much I love her, and tell her that I have more for her. God, she's not going to be here. I'm arguing with God after he just convicted me in the middle of teaching this soul winning lesson. And so I'm driving and I'm approaching this Chipotle. And I said, okay, I'll look through. It's like a stoplight. I said, I'll look through the window, and if I see her, I'll pull in. It's like funny because I'm like negotiating with God, which is not a good idea. And so sure enough, she was there. And so I pull in and I go, this is either going to go one of two ways. Either it's going to be awesome or she's going to think I'm crazy. Right. And so I walk in and no one's in the restaurant. And it's just her and a few other employees. And the others are like cleaning up because they're about to close. And I walk up to the cash register and I say, hey, Tamika. And she looks at me and she's stunned because I said, I didn't order anything. I just walked straight. I skipped the food line. I just walked straight up to the cash register and, hey, Tamika. And she looks stunned and she goes, you know my name? And she was shocked that I just knew her name. Like, and I had known her name from like being in the receipt and all that stuff. And I was going like every day. And so I said, yeah, I know your name. And I said, like God just put it on my heart to come in here and tell you that he loves you and he cares about you. And she started to cry and tears are coming down her face. And I said, Tamika, I just want to invite you to our church. I know this may seem weird, but the Lord told me to come in here and tell you how much he loves you and that he has more for you. She starts crying in this Chipotle. I gave her a church card. She said, I'm going to come. I can't believe you remember my name. And it's like, dude, there's so many people out there that are just hungry and want to feel, I don't even want to just say notice, but they're living in this dark world with no hope.
Yeah.
And we're called to be the light. And so many times we just walk by. And so like weeks go by and I'm still on this Chipotle kick. And every time I go in, she's like, oh, I lost the church card, but I'm going to come. I can't believe you took the time out of your day to come back and tell me, all this stuff. And like 3 or 4 times, I gave her a card 3 or 4 times. Right. And I'm like getting to the point where like, okay, I did my thing and like, she's not going to come. Right. Like she's just being nice and kind. And one Sunday morning, a couple months later, we're in the middle of worship set. You're on the drums. We're in the middle of worship set. We're probably, pastor's about to go on, right? And one of the ushers comes and grabs me from the minister section. And he goes, there's a lady here. And she says you invited her. And I'm like, who? Like months had gone by. And I'm like, well, I don't know who that could be. And I look back and Tamika's walking down the aisle.
Nice.
And to my surprise, she walks straight up to the altar.
Wow.
And I go and I greet her. I'm so glad you're here. And I said, worship service is about over, but I'm so glad you're here. God's going to do something special for you. And she's crying at the altar. She went straight to the altar. And I said, well, hey, Tamika, can I pray with you? And I started to pray with her. And less than a minute, she starts speaking in tongues.
My.
And then we baptize her in Jesus' name. And all because I just was obedient to God in a moment where I made a fool of myself by pulling into a Chipotle and saying, hey, God loves you.
Yeah.
And
not a big deal in the grand scheme of things.
No, it didn't take much out of my life, but her life was forever changed because somebody was a light.
Yeah.
And man, if we're not careful, we go about our day every day, and God is setting up divine moments for you to be a light to somebody.
Yeah.
Because it's his desire that everyone be saved and everyone have an experience like Tamika had. He has that for everybody. And so, man, it's just so important that we remember the real reason for Christmas and the real reason we do all of these traditions is that God has, in this moment with the Christmas story, he's come to the earth to be a light and to have a relationship with a fallen people. It's all about redemption, and he's coming to bring hope that we could be saved. And so it's important for us to remember that. And these holiday seasons aren't just about all the fun traditions and the Christmas lights and the trees and all these things, but it's about being a light to people. It's our job to keep that light burning, not just on December 25th, but in the middle of a summer series where you're going to Chipotle all the time and you have these people every day where you interact with every day. The cashier at Speedway knows my daughter by her appearance.
Yeah.
She may not know her name, but we interact a lot with people. And if we're not careful, we'll just be another face that they see when God's calling us to be a light.
Yeah. I love when we walk out of our church, the sign overhead says, "You're entering the missions field."
Yeah.
On the exit, And and how true is that?
Man, and it's so true. And it doesn't have to be some...
This isn't something that we should keep to ourselves.
No.
It's for everybody.
Right. And if you're listening and you're challenged with this, with being negative all the time and challenged with not being a light, and you've missed opportunities, don't be discouraged. God will give you opportunity to do that. If you're stuck behind somebody going 25 and a 55 right now, don't lose your witness. Be a light.
Just pull over and pray.
But I challenge you all this week, don't just look at the lights on the tree or start hanging like the lights on your neighbor's house. Take a moment to think about the light of Christ in your life and ask yourself, am I shining the way I'm supposed to be? Are you letting it guide your decisions and your attitude? Be a light to somebody else this week. And here's the second challenge. Find one way to brighten somebody's week. One of those people that you come in contact with, start up a conversation like we did in the Dollar General. Say something positive to somebody and watch how they respond. It doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's an encouraging text. Maybe it's helping somebody. Maybe it's just starting up that simple conversation. Maybe it's just being patient in the holiday shopping line and starting a conversation with somebody. But that moment of being a light will have a bigger impact than you can imagine.
Real quick, one of my favorite stories are of witnessing somebody's demeanor change in this manner. It was like a Sunday after a night service. We had night services then. And I went to the McDonald's on 43 on the way home. And I didn't know it was the manager at the time, but the whole place was just garbage service. It was just, they were like slacking really bad. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but I got the wrong order or something like that. And it was just totally wrong, which normally is fine, but I don't eat lettuce or anything that tastes like lettuce.
Or green things.
So I walked back in, went through the drive-thru. I walk in, like no big deal. I'm not angry or anything, like not frustrated in the slightest. So I go in and I say, "Hey, this isn't right. It's no big deal. Can I just get it changed?" And the employee was just so frustrated and so angry that I was just coming back in and asking them to do their job. I didn't want to say it, but and then the manager walks up and she looked like she was going to be angry. Right. And she was frustrated. She was frustrated with her employees. And she was younger, maybe like 20. It's crazy how fast kids can become managers. But congratulations. Good on you, Yeah. But yeah, so she was kind of frustrated and she gave me my food and just didn't say anything. She just handed it to me and just how they do sometimes. And I was like, "Hey, I just want to say like, thank you. Like you're doing a great job. You guys are doing a great job." And she just started to tear up. And she's like, "Thank you. You have no idea what that means to me." And it was just like, that was it. Right. And then I kept coming back to that McDonald's and I would see her in the drive-thru every time. And I was like, "Hey, you're still doing a great job."
Yeah.
And she's like, she was so happy that I know, like I could recognize her. And so just built, and then I eventually gave her a church card and, I haven't seen her, but there's still time.
Yeah, but you never know what's on the other end of that.
Yeah.
What could have been if you weren't that light in that moment.
Yep.
And so I think it's important that
you can change people's weeks.
Yes.
By just being nice.
It's so simple.
Just being positive.
Yeah.
In a negative situation.
Yeah.
Just be positive. Hey, I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah. When you become a believer, there's no excuse to be a jerk. There really isn't. Nowhere in the Bible says that you can continue to be awful to people just because it's the way your day is going. We're supposed to be the light in the darkness. And so let's not forget about this. It's more important than presents or parties. It's about celebrating that light. We should be that light for people. And so I challenge you this week, be that light to everyone around you. Challenge yourself to not be negative during this time because it's so easy to get frustrated and it's so easy to see the negative, especially this time of year.
It's so easy when you want that toy. I forget the movie name. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Jingle all the way.
It's
My
so
Turbo
easy.
Man toy.
A Turbo Man. That's what it is. It's so funny.
Just be the light. The light shines in the darkness. We have no reason to be that blinking light bulb that's on some days, off some days. We should consistently be the light.
Yep.
So it's important to remember to be that light and not be negative, especially in the holiday rush. People are already on edge. And there's a lot of people where this is not the brightest time of the year. And so it's important to be the light. be that example and carry that light with us, knowing the real reason behind that. It's the greatest gift we've ever been given, so we should give that to other people as well. And so we're going to switch things up and do a new segment right now. This is called the Reel of the Week.
The reel of the week. And so Sean's going to share a reel right now. Yeah, so I actually just saw this last night. You had mentioned have a new segment here, and it kind of fits perfect because I just talked to my son about it this morning too. So I tried to find it, and everybody knows how hard it is to find a reel after you've already seen it because it just goes into the abyss. Yeah. Unless you send it to somebody, and I didn't send it. So the reel was like this dad, he told his kids, he had 2 kids, and he said, all right, I'm going to take you guys to Target. He didn't say Target, but it was at Target. I'm going to take you guys shopping. You guys are going to have $850 to spend on this shopping spree.
Oh my gosh.
These kids are probably like 8 and 10, right?
Their minds have got to be blown.
Yeah, 100% blown. So they go shopping. They go and they're going down the toy aisle and they're just grabbing everything because they can like it.
Yeah,
in their price range.
Oh my!
And they're grabbing everything. They got this buggy full to the brim.
What is it called?
What?
What did you just call it?
To the brim?
No.
What?
What did you call it? What
the buggy?
The what?
The buggy.
The shopping cart?
The buggy, dude.
The buggy.
What in the world?
Shopping cart?
I don't understand.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, sorry. Proceed.
Is that a West Virginia
It
term?
must
Buggies?
be, yeah. Let us know in the comments.
That's
Shopping
hilarious.
cart or buggy?
I've never called it that's a long word to call a shopping cart. Hey, will you go grab a shopping cart? No, we just say buggy.
Buggy.
Go grab a buggy.
I mean, sometimes I'll say cart.
My goodness.
Go grab the cart. Buggy.
Buggy.
That's funny.
That is funny.
That's not an Ohio thing.
This could be a topic for another podcast.
Yeah.
Words that we say differently.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways.
No, there's actually a couple of those that are pretty funny.
They fill the shopping cart full.
Buggy.
Okay. The buggy.
The buggy was full to the brim. And then he's like, oh, you guys still have money. You guys want 32-inch TVs each, one for each of your rooms?
Yeah,
because you can. Yeah. It's still in your price range. So yeah, so a whole buggy full full of toys and 2 TVs, and they start walking up to the checkout, and
my goodness.
They walk up there, and he's like, all right, guys, we can't actually buy this stuff.
What?
Because you already spent the $850 this year on our in-game purchases like V-Bucks and Robux and all of that.
A valuable life
and
lesson.
so he's teaching them and saying, so instead of having something physical that you could have in your hand, you've got nothing to show for the $850 that you've spent. And this is what you could have had. And they walk out empty-handed, which is kind of mean, but like that's definitely a lesson to learn.
First of all, as a father, how did you let them spend $850 on V-Bucks?
Okay, I can't really say anything to that because
oh my word.
So my son is 11. Mm-hmm. And he's like really getting into gaming now. And it's kind of a problem, but it is what it is currently. But he does chores and stuff and earns money. And what he wants to buy is so he has a VR headset. And so he plays like Gorilla Tag, and they have, I forget what they call the money in there. It's goofy. It's all goofy, but that's what he wants to buy. He wants to buy these packs and then so
it's got to be one of the greatest scams of this generation.
It is, because it's a free video game. Yeah. Most of these games are free. Fortnite's free, and you spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Fortnite.
Man. So it's like when we were growing up, the video games were like $60 a game or $80 a game.
Not even.
And then that was it. You bought the game and then you got all the content forever.
Yeah, you throw it in there.
Now the games are free, but there's a bunch. If you want to be cool in the game, you got to buy these coins to buy this stuff in the locker. And man, what a great scam.
My son's going to kill me for saying this, but if you want to be Sigma Ohio Skibbity,
no,
that's what he would say.
Oh my word. Dad, I can't not have this skin. I can't do the default.
I'm a noob.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so he just sold a Pokemon card, and good on him for being able to do
little
this.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, things I just didn't think was worth anything. And he sold this Pokemon card on eBay for $75.
That's awesome.
One card.
But then what'd he do with the money?
Yeah, he spent it in about 5 minutes on VR.
The sad thing
coins.
is, man, if he would have kept that Pokemon card for the next 20 years,
Yeah.
he could have probably bought his first house with it.
No telling.
No joke. There's cards from when I was a kid. A $3.75 pack of unopened Pokemon cards is now selling for over $3,000.
Wow.
Just for one pack of cards that is unopened.
It's kind of like if you would have bought Bitcoin in 2009.
Right. Right. Same thing. There's like value in the little things that seem to be worthless, but if you hold on to it for a long time. But then we all still have those TY teeny baby. What are they? You know what I'm talking about? The TYs, the toys?
Yeah, the Thai
Beanie Babies?
I remember you got those in McDonald's for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2010, if you would have bought Bitcoin in 2010, it was 4/10,000ths of a dollar a coin. So in dollar terms, that's 0.01 is 1 cent, right? So this was 0.0004 cents a Bitcoin.
So if everybody would have just bought one,
And now it's $95,000 or
Devastating.
something like that.
that's so sad.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, good for you if you had a Bitcoin back then.
Man,
Your
I wish I
price
would've.
Pretty man. I wish I would have kept my Pokemon.
If I would have
cards.
known about it, I would have at that price.
Yeah.
Who cared? Or like Dogecoin was like the same way. It's not as expensive.
Yeah. It's tough to be above the curve on those things, though. But the TY, yeah, like I remember my grandma would buy us a bunch of these, TY Beanie Babies, and they would be stuck in the attic. These are collectibles.
I still have a Matchbox car from a McDonald's Happy Meal from 2004. It's
Yeah.
up in my drawer right now.
These are collectibles.
No, I opened it.
You can't play with these. They're
Never mind.
collectibles. One day these are going to be worth a lot of money. Meanwhile, they're not at
Yeah.
all.
No,
And
they're
if we
not.
would have kept the Pokemon cards that I begged to buy every week that we went to the store, if we would have just kept those off to the side, I wouldn't have to work right.
Yeah,
Man, that's frustrating. But what a life lesson for those boys,
Yeah.
right? Like,
for sure.
don't spend your money like this. But
Yeah, it's just like this generation is just their life is on
media.
non-reality.
Yeah.
As a
Virtual.
parent, it's tough for me. We put a time limit on my son, like 2 hours is what he gets. Like the weekends, we're more lenient. He's not got school, and doesn't have to get to bed. But yeah, so it's really hard for me as a millennial child growing up playing Super Nintendo and GameCube, N64, and finally the Xbox. Like I was like the OG Halo Xbox.
Yeah, we had the
you know?
best. I think we had the
And
best of both worlds.
Spent my entire day on those video games. When I got home from school, that's all I did. Now, as a millennial parent parenting a Gen Alpha, it's really tough to be like, okay, where's the line?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot different now than when I was a kid.
And there's so much more connection through it. It's almost like...
And that's my holdup, because if he's not, like when it was me, like I didn't have any siblings like that lived with me there for a while until my stepbrothers moved in. Now he plays with some friends from church, like online, and they're like online gaming.
Yeah.
They're all doing it like at that age. It's not like, it's not odd for him to be playing games like that, because it's just what they do. But at the same time, I feel like, maybe I'm not parenting well enough is like the feeling you get.
It's tough. You have to find the balance, because when I was growing up, we were like the last of the latchkey kids. I grew up with my grandparents raised me and my siblings, and we still walked to school. It was still safe enough to do that. We would go to
Uphill both ways.
Yeah, in the snow, in the polar vortexes.
My goodness.
Back when we had polar vortexes. No, but we would still walk. We walked everywhere. We rode our bikes everywhere, and we were gone from sun up to sundown, and we just had to be back at a certain time. And we would walk to the card shop. We would walk to Blockbuster to rent the video games and to rent. I'm sounding
Video Dine. That's what mine was.
Well, it wasn't-
It was called Video Dine. Next
so
to
we
my
had
house.
we had a couple. Ours was Video Update.
Yeah.
And we would go to video. My sisters would always have to be with us because they were older, and they would be with me, Justin and Jared, Cassie and Brianna. We would all go together to stay safe, right?
Yeah.
To not end up on Unsolved Mysteries. My grandma would always say, she would always watch Unsolved Mysteries and say, "You were gonna end up like this, kid." And so she always made us stick together, but we always went everywhere. and we were gone from sunup to sundown. We would go to Sports Express, and that's where I would get my Pokemon cards. And we would do, so there was like a balance, or we would go to Video Update and we would rent the video game that we wanted to play. And we would get it for a whole week. And so we would be gone all day, riding our bikes, walking. So there was still like, we were outside, but then we would come home and spend the weekend playing video games, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just finding the balance.
When I would go to a friend's house, we played video games.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
That's literally all we did.
Absolutely. And so you can't be like, no video games. Well, it's just different now. I think it's just about finding balance.
And then as you grew a little older, like, was your guys' hangout at the mall? Was that like the hangout?
We would go
kids up here.
We would go to the mall.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
We just walk around.
Walk around.
What are we even doing here?
Walk around. Never had any money to buy anything.
Oh my goodness.
Just walked around, get free samples.
And then I worked at the mall. That was
You did?
Yeah.
That's fun.
So I worked at the mall. I forget how old I was. I worked at Hollister.
Yeah.
And
Man, did you get a discount?
yeah, you had to buy their clothes to work there. It's really unfortunate.
That seems like a
Scam. Yeah, it's like
Well, we're gonna pay you.
so
but
like
you have
they
to
call
buy our
their
clothes.
upfront associates. They call them models. And
You were a model?
I actually,
You heard it here first. Sean Delaney was a model.
Well, no.
Those magic hands at the beginning. That's
No.
what we taught him.
Anyways, I worked in the back.
So
I forget what their job title was.
that's even better.
But I mean, I went out there
Yeah.
like to put clothes out. And
Did you
stuff.
wear Fierce?
No, that's Abercrombie.
Oh,
Same company,
mixed
but
up, yeah.
they have difference. I think Jake is the name.
Oh, that's right. That's
the
right.
cologne. Yeah.
Man. Oh, I have a funny
I
story.
remember spraying the room like every 15 minutes or something like that. I can't remember. It was like every 15 minutes. I have actually one of my cousins is like a store manager or
Yeah.
something like that, maybe even higher. But his brother's wife, I actually trained her when she started, and she was like a corporate manager that came in. Like that. But working at the mall, dude, was like the funnest thing ever.
Yeah, I'm
'Cause
sure.
you'd be there like 2 a.m. and nobody's in the mall, and you just run down the hallway. A lot of late nights. In
That's
the mall.
awesome.
It was fun. It was
That's
what to
awesome.
do back in the day.
I remember when I think I was just going into middle school, and it was like that point in childhood where like you started to notice girls, right? And my whole childhood, I did not care what I wore. Like that didn't matter to me. Like I wore just whatever clothes my parents got me. And I recognized really quickly, like all of my friends started dressing differently, and they'd be wearing Hollister or Abercrombie or any of these like AirPod, whatever the preppy clothes were during the day.
Yeah.
And it was a big culture shift. And I remember thinking, all right, I got to go to the mall. And my sisters took me, and they helped me pick out like a new outfit for the school year. And I remember going to school, and I had my new wardrobe, right? My grandparents were so mad because I spent so much money on just like a pair of jeans that had holes in them.
Yeah.
And my grandfather just did not understand, like, why did you spend $40 on this pair of jeans that had
hilarious.
rips in it? He was
That's
like,
cheap now.
yeah. And so he was so upset about how much money was spent on my school wardrobe that year, but I had to have these clothes. This was a big deal. It was important. I remember going to school. It was like the first week of school, and I'd get to my locker and was doing my combination, and I noticed these girls walking by.
Noticed them for the first time.
And they noticed me.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah. They noticed me.
Was that good or bad?
Oh, it was a good conversation that I overheard. Oh, he looks, and I'm like listening, and I'm doing my locker, and they're walking past me. Look at him, and I'm hearing them talk. Like, look at him, he looks cute, and I'm like, I got the biggest grin on my face, and then they look down at my shoes, and I had everything else right. The
Oh my
fit
gosh.
was right. It was all right,
Some
but my
chucks.
shoes, worse. No, my shoes. I had penny loafers on.
Oh my gosh.
Like the kind that your Sunday school teacher gives you to wear to church. And then the girls said, he looks great, but look at those shoes,
That's
though.
hilarious.
And my whole deflated.
Oh.
It was funny. And so,
Shoes were like a big thing.
oh, yeah.
I actually was super embarrassed. I got a great quick story. We're running out of time.
We're good.
So it was like maybe 2003, 2004-ish. I was at church camp, and I think I was working church camp that week. So it must have been like junior high or something like that. So it was West Virginia, and Aaron Bounds was sitting next to me. and he was wearing the same shoes I had on, and I was so embarrassed about my shoes. I should have started this a little differently. But anyway, yeah, I've since told Aaron Bounds a story, and he laughed and said he still wears Walmart shoes. But I had Walmart shoes on, and I felt so embarrassed because like my cousin Justin always had like the nicest clothes, the nicest shoes. He always smelled the best. He was like the guy, like, right?
Yeah.
And here I am, like my parents couldn't afford
Penny
that
loafers.
stuff, and I'm wearing like Walmart dress shoes and hand-me-down dress clothes that don't fit right.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting next to Brother Bounds, and he's wearing the same shoes. And I'm just
awesome.
like, my dude, I'm wearing the same shoes as a preacher. Yeah. And I just felt so much better.
Changed your perspective.
I told Brother Bounds that at church camp, at Ohio church camp 2 years ago. It's like, hey, man, you remember that? And he goes,
like, no.
He goes, no, but I still wear Walmart shoes. And I was like, man, my guy.
That's awesome. It's funny how like it matters so much when you're young. And so like you got to find the balance with your parent. I think you got to give yourself the grace if you're a parent out there trying to parent in 2024, 2025. It's tough.
Yeah.
The world is rapidly changing. And so we just have to talk about be the light. We got to be the light to our own family too. And you got to allow them to have a childhood, but also like just find the balance. And so I think limits are good. I think that all of those things are good. And it leads to different outcomes for them. You know, I feel like if you're constantly saying no, they're just going to find a way to do it anyways. You know, that's what we did. It's important to try to find the balance in everything. Be the light, you know?
Yeah.
Even in your own family, because that's where it matters the most. That's where your biggest impact is in your own home. I think it's important to remember whether we're talking about traditions or lights or, you know, those funny stories we talked about in the middle, parenting, all these things. It's just to remember we are supposed to be the light to this world. And whether you're Christmas shopping right now or you're driving behind that person going 25 miles per hour in a 55, or you're in the Chipotle line just trying to get your burrito, or if you're trying to parent in 2024 where your kids seems like they're in another planet and it's hard to find the balance, the biggest thing that we need to do, especially this time of the year, is be an example and be the light of positivity to this world, because it's dark out there. And a lot of people go through things this time of year, experience loss this time of year. There's people going through things that you could never know or imagine. Like you never know where that McDonald's employee's mindset was at, what kind of things they faced that year, but your simple act of kindness changed their whole day. Yeah. And so my challenge to our listeners is, in the middle of all of the holiday rush, be positive to somebody, be that light to somebody. And we want to make sure that we are that for you here on this podcast. I hope that our stories and our lesson today brought you some joy, and it sparked that light up in you that we can all be an example of Christ in everyday life. And so we hope you enjoyed this episode today, and we'll catch you next time on the Casting Faith podcast. Go to our socials, like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell us some funny things, engage with our community, and we're so excited to be a part of your week.
Like, comment, and subscribe.